With the defeat of the Nightmare Tyrant, the Nightmare Realm began to revert back to its original form. Flowers bloomed in the fields, and Anne wandered off from her group to pick them.
Should we follow her?
Mike asked, but Kiyu shook her head.
Enjoy this,
The fairy said. Anne settled down in the field of flowers and sighed happily. The sun shone, the wind blew, and the birds sang. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She opened them and saw darkness. A black-winged shadow stood over her, blocking the sun.
Who are you?
She asked.
Why, it's Fluttershy.
Came the response.
What are you doing here?
She looked around. They were in Ponyville. The grass stretched down to the edge of the city, and everything around her was green and pleasant. Or so it seemed.
We're moving away from this place.
She said.
It's dangerous here.
Do you know who I am?
You're the girl who saved the world.
Me? No, I didn't.
Anne replied.
I know great hero like you and your friends.
I'm not talking about what you did. I mean, who are you? You're no pony either.
No, I'm not.
You're a human.
Yes, I'm a human girl from the Under.
Fluttershy's eyes glowed as she stared into Anne's, and Anne knew she was being evaluated by the Nightmare Queen.
I see what's happening.
Fluttershy said softly.
You're experiencing a vision.
Yeah, I think so.
This is the power of the Nightmare Tyrant. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's like a vision, but better. It's more real.
What do you want?
To talk to you. To ask you a question.
Anne smiled.
What?
Will you come with me?
Where are you going?
I'm going to take you to the Nightmare Tyrant.
But I don't want to go with you.
You thank me.
Anne's bright eyes were a beacon in the darkness, and the black wings spread wide.
I don't know.
I do.
Fluttershy said.
I'll be waiting for you by the Nightmare Tyrant's throne. Wait.
Ginny yelled. Anne turned to see a blue and white robot with a shadowy hedgehog following behind her.
We need her alive.
Ginny said.
Why?
Anne asked.
To save the world.
Ginny said, pointing to the sky. Anne looked up and saw a blue bird fly overhead.
Oh, I'm dreaming again.
Anne said calmly. She looked at Ginny.
That's why you're here, the wee girl from my dreams.
You were the girl from my dreams.
Ginny replied.
I'm just here to save the world.
That's all you need to do.
Anne said.
Just go.
I don't want to go without you.
You'll be fine.
Ginny awoke, confused, in a field of flowers. Shadow was sitting across from her, a concerned look on his face. The others were gone. Ponyville was gone. It had been a dream after all. They were getting more frequent and more disquieting.
Who are they?
She asked softly.
Why are they following me?
They're your nightmares made real.
Shadow said.
They're after you because they know you have power. They want to take it from you.
I don't want to be their puppet.
Yes, you do. You don't have a choice.
I can become a hero.
You can't. You wouldn't be good at it. Heroes have to kill, and they don't get to choose. It's either kill or die.
Maybe that's how it was for you.
Ginny said.
I think I can be a hero without having to kill.
You are on. It's kill or die.
Ginny got up and said.
I'll do it myself.
No, you won't. You're not ready. Wait until you're more prepared.
I don't want to listen to you anymore.
Ginny said.
I'm going to save the world.
Good luck.
Shadow said. She walked away. He was worried for her, but didn't know what he could do to help. He wished he could take her away from this place, but that was impossible. He looked up at the sun. It was a different sun, a brighter sun, and it was high in the sky. There was no evening, no night. Everything was sunlight. He felt a surge of joy and relief. He'd been worried for her for so long. Finally, he had someone to talk to, someone to laugh with, someone to play with. The hedgehog looked up at the bright yellow sun. There was still a hint of sadness in his eyes. He sighed and said,
I miss.
The bird flew overhead. It was the same bird that Anne had been talking to, but it wasn't Anne. He recognized it from the battle in the Nightmare King's monastery.
Why are you here?
He asked.
What is it you want?
The bird flew closer and said,
I'm here to talk to you about friendship.
Friendship.
Yes, friendship, will you help me?
The bird landed on his hand and looked up at him. It was a sunny day, but the hedgehog's eyes were still sad.
I can't.
The bird hopped down and said,
Why not?
Because
the hedgehog began. He sighed and said,
I'm lonely.
The bird looked down and said,
I'm lonely sometimes.
The hedgehog looked down at the bird and said,
I'm lonely often.
The bird hopped down and said,
That's because you're a soldier.
The hedgehog raised his eyes to the sun and said,
I'll be lonely when I die.
The bird hopped down and said,
That's not true. You'll always have friends.
Ginny stopped walking, turning to listen to their conversation.
I'll always have friends when I'm dead.
The hedgehog countered.
No, you won't.
Ginny looked between the two and said,
What are you talking about?
Never mind. Come on, let's go. Go.
But
Ginny began to say, and then said no more. The bird turned to Ginny and said,
Come with us. We're leaving.
Ginny looked around and said,
where? Where are we going?
Wherever there's sunshine.
the bird said.
A place of favor and grace.
Ginny looked around and said,
Is there a reason I should go with you?
Yes, there's someone who wants to see you.
the bird said.
Who is it?
Just come with us.
The bird said. Ginny looked around and said,
I don't like being told what to do.
Who does?
the bird asked. Ginny said,
I don't like being treated like a child.
the bird looked around and said,
Do you want to stay here?
Ginny looked around and sighed.
No.
Then come with us.
The bird said.
Fine.
Ginny said. The bird said.
I've been waiting for you.
It took Ginny's hand and said,
Come on.
Shadow and Ginny followed the bird over hills of flowers. The bird flew ahead and said,
I've been waiting for you too.
They came to a beautiful meadow of light. Ginny gasped and said,
Oh, it's beautiful.
The meadow was light, but there was a darkness to it. Shadows dotted the ground and it was cold. Ginny shivered and said,
I wish we could stay here forever.
The bird, which was now circling Ginny, said,
You can.
How?
Ginny asked.
Follow me.
The bird said.
I'll show you.
Ginny followed the bird and they flew away from the meadow. They passed over hills of grass, winding through them.
Isn't this fun?
The bird asked.
Yes.
Ginny said.
Is this because you're lonely?
Yes.
The bird said.
It's because I'm lonely.
Ginny looked down at her feet and said,
Are you real?
The bird laughed and said,
Of course. What do you think this is?
Ginny didn't answer and said,
How long have I been walking?
A few days.
This is another dream, isn't it?
Ginny asked. Shadow put his hand on her shoulder.
Not this time, Jenny.
You've been dreaming about me.
The bird asked.
Well, I've been dreaming about you.
Really?
Ginny said.
What have you been dreaming?
Many things.
The bird said.
But my dreams all feature you and the human girl.
With leaves in her hair.
Ginny asked, perking up.
Yes.
The bird said.
And we were together.
Why are we having the same dreams?
I don't know.
Admitted the bird.
But I suspect it has something to do with dreaming princess.
Ginny smiled and said,
Let's keep walking.
We can't.
The bird said.
Why not?
Because I'm a bird and when the sun sets I turn into shadow. I can't see.
This is not something I knew about birds.
Ginny admitted.
We have time.
The bird said.
The sun will stay up for a few more hours. We're almost there.
Ginny didn't answer and continued walking. They walked through valleys of flowers, over hill after hill of sweet-smelling grass. Ginny's eyes watered and she stopped to blink them. Suddenly, the bird said,
Look.
Over the horizon, Ginny and Shadow saw several of their friends. Spike, Mordecai, Mike, and several others they didn't know were all standing around, talking and laughing.
That's our friends.
Ginny said.
Yes.
The bird said.
I'm so happy to see them.
Where are we?
Ginny asked.
The dawning.
Ginny and Shadow walked faster and soon were running. They ran through fields of flowers and ducked behind hedges against the rising sun. They kept running and didn't stop until they reached the circle.
Holy crap! It's Jenny and Shadow.
Mike said as they approached.
Hey! Eyes.
Ginny said.
I don't fucking believe this.
Spike said, shaking his head in disbelief.
What are the two of you doing here?
We came to find you.
Ginny said.
Yeah, come on, follow us.
Spike said, and led the way into the circle.
This is cute. Sandy, Scooby, and Dan.
Spike said, introducing them to the new allies. Ginny's eyes widened when she saw Anne.
You.
She said, Anne recognized her as well.
What are you doing here?
Fighting alongside you guys.
Mordecai interjected.
We're not fighting for you.
Ginny said.
Yeah, we're not.
Anne said.
Do you know each other?
Sandy asked.
She's the girl from my dreams.
Anne said.
The ones I've been telling you guys about.
The bird fluttered down and landed on Ginny's head. Anne pointed to her.
And that's a bird.
Whoa, that's so crazy.
Mordecai said.
You don't see birds that blue very often.
I guess not.
Sandy said.
What's the plan?
Kyo asked.
We're gonna go get the bird back to its world.
Ginny said.
Shut up, Jenny.
The bird said, pecking her head lightly.
I'm not going back to my world. Don't talk about me going back there.
I thought you wanted to get out of here.
Ginny asked.
I do.
The bird said.
But I'm lonely.
Well, then why don't you get with one of the others?
Ginny suggested.
Because they are not as fun.
You were fun.
Ginny said.
I'm a bird. I need you to stick by me. Otherwise, I might as well be alone again.
I'll stick by you.
Thanks, Jenny.
The bird said.
I really appreciate it.
So, who else is coming?
Anne asked.
We'll be meeting up with them later.
Ginny said.
We'll be ready.
Sandy said.
What time should we meet up? Soon.
Ginny said, rubbing the bird's head.
Why don't you rest for a while?
I can't still have a lot of energy. Besides, I want to be here for the others to meet up with us.
Okay.
Ginny said.
I hope they know where they are meeting up with us.
The bird said.
Soon.
Ginny said. The bird smiled and said.
I'm glad I have you, Jenny.
And I have you. And I'm glad I have you too. And
Ginny smiled.
we're friends.
Yes, we are.
The bird said. Anne and the others watched as the bird flew off into the sky.
I think that went well.
Sandy said.
Wow, that was a lot of fun.
Mike said.
You sure know how to pull a crowd, girl.
Mordecai said.
It was nice to meet you.
Ginny said, taking Anne's hands in her own.
You too.
Anne said.
I'm glad we're finally meeting in person.
Ginny said.
So am I.
Anne said. Anne and Ginny walked off with the bird flying overhead while the group watched them.
Shadow.
Spike said as they watched the trio frolic.
You look worried.
I am.
Shadow said.
I think we need to go after them. I think we need to go rescue them.
That's not gonna happen.
Mordecai said.
I'm just worried that something's happened to them.
Shadow said.
What could happen to them? That hasn't happened already.
Sandy asked.
I don't know.
Shadow said.
We haven't exactly been the best Ollies, but I imagine they still have to worry about us too.
Kiyu said.
Yeah, I suppose.
Shadow said.
We did save them from the gold, remember?
Sandy said.
But that was because we needed their help to get to the Lost City.
Shadow said.
I don't remember any of that shit.
Mike said, rolling his eye.
Well, we still helped them.
Sandy said, rolling her own eye.
In the meantime, they're probably having a blast.
Kiyu said, smiling.
I don't care.
I guess we shouldn't either.
Sandy said. The group spent the next few hours resting. They needed to conserve their energy because they had a long way to go. As the sun began to set, they knew that they needed to start moving.
We're gonna have to split up soon.
Kiyu said.
I know.
Spike said.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Mordecai said.
Well, I suppose.
Spike sighed.
We can go up and check on the others.
Mike said.
I'm worried about Twilight.
Mordecai said.
Are you worried about Zelda, Mike?
Spike asked.
No.
Mike said.
We're just going to check on them.
Sandy said.
You'll be right there, right, Spike?
I suppose. Well, I'm gonna go with Jenny then.
Anne said.
Good.
Ginny said. And so they all split up, going their separate ways. Only Spike was left alone in the field that had once been part of the Nightmare Realm. Once again, Spike felt the darkness creep up on him. This always happened when he was alone. The shadows were just so much easier to hide in. He felt completely defenseless without his sword or the powers of the symbiote. He wasn't sure how he would get out of this one. He sat down inside, resting his head in his hand. It had been a long day.
You should probably get out of the shadows. Shadow.
A voice said.
Who?
Spike's eyes widened.
Is that you? Lady Dimitrescu?
You. I need your help.
What do you need?
Spike asked, but Alcina cut him off.
I need you to get me the Stone of Volcar.
Alcina? I thought you were dead.
Spike said.
I mean, we watched them bury you.
I know.
So? How?
I'm a ghost. You silly dragon.
Alcina said. Spike looked around but couldn't see her. He couldn't see much of anything. There was nothing but darkness all around him.
How can you see me?
Spike asked.
I'm invisible to everyone in the Nightmare Realm but my queen.
But how?
I'll show you how we get to the Volcar Citadel, and you can figure out the rest. Follow me.
Spike followed the sound of her voice, and soon he found himself in a sort of underground cavern. In the middle of it, a portal opened up.
I can see things.
Spike said, looking around.
That's because I'm a ghost.
Alcina said. Spike said, embarrassed.
I don't see why that's such a big deal. It's not like I'm gonna hunt your ass up.
It's fun, really.
Spike said.
We ghosts can't interact with our living counterparts too much sooner or later. The living take care of their own problems, and we have to move on. You don't have anything to worry about. Than the fact that you look like shit.
Alcina.
A voice hissed.
Sorry, Queen. I just like to talk.
Spike thought he knew that voice, but he just shook his head and stepped through the portal. Once again, he found himself in the middle of the battlefield, covered in his own blood.
Alcina, what the hell?
And I thought that would be a fine cliffhanger for our Season 4 debut chapter. Next time, we'll pick up right back here in the battlefield with Spike. I tried to prompt the AI to focus on the dreams that Ginny and Anne had both mentioned in previous chapters, and it kind of just took us here. I think we'll have to wait a bit longer to get to the bottom of that mystery, but I do like the little group that's formed because of it. I was surprised to see Alcina come up in the end here, though. I'd plugged her info, along with like Shadow Weaver and Fluttershy and that group, into the AI's memo feature, but I wasn't really expecting that info to come back up after Fluttershy's little dream cameo. It seems like the AI decided that Spike already knew Alcina before her death, sometime in the past, which is kind of an interesting element to her backstory that we uncovered here. I've got a couple more pieces of Nightmare Tyrant fan art to share with you while we're at the end here. The second one specifically was inspired by Daphne's vision of the Tyrant that she summoned a few chapters back. So thank you all for watching and coming back for Season 4 of this weird adventure. I really hope you enjoyed this chapter, and I'll see you again soon for the next one. Until then, if you missed the previous chapter, here's a little clip of what went down.
You cheated, you're all cheaters. Cheaters never win.
You ate fool.
Jolene said.
It is over.
Yeah. A liar, liar, liar.
Frieza tore the Black Stone of Volcar away from Roxy. He chuckled as he crushed it in his hand.
You can't win this way. This is my world. You can't cheat me, or all of you cheaters.
He turned to Jolene.
You little witch, you're a cheat. I know who you are.
Jolene looked down.
You're Jolene. You're an honest girl.
Hank, you're a cheater. You cheated to get here.
I did not.